Okay, let me see here. Make sure it started everything. Alright, showing everything all good. Okay. So, today's lesson, is a bit of a simple one, but I feel like it's forgotten a lot, especially in today's world of investing. Lots of people doing things like day trading and scalping and options trading and such. And while don't get me wrong, if those work out for you, those work out for you. There's nothing wrong with that, We're all just trying to make money. But I think a lot of people forget about just patience. And that's basically what today's lesson is patience. You can it doesn't matter who you read about, whether it's Warren Buffett all the way down to Jesse Livermore. And for people who don't know, Jesse Livermore is the creator of day trading. Racked over 2,000% in gains on average, just from day trading. And it doesn't matter who you read about or really the investor. And even here I have uh some studies done, so it's not even just like an anecdotal thing. It's actually backed up by studies and studying the market. But patience is uh very much a tool you can use in investing. And whether you're day trading, swing trading, options trading, long term investing, whatever you want to do, patience is definitely key. If you use patience, then you will gain more. And so some people may ask, like, well, how do I use patience if I'm short term trading, right? So, for example, when I read Jesse Livermore's book on investing, I'd suggest everyone read it. He used patience a lot when waiting for the right moment, right? He didn't just day trade every day. If you He always waited for the right moment, the right period in time to day trade. And doing that, he easily gained over 2,000% in gains year over year, right? So it's not a matter of finding the best day trade every day. It was a matter of finding the right moment and waiting for that moment. And then when it happens, you jump on it and your gains soar. So patience will always help you whenever you are trading stocks, whether it's long term, as this article is talking about, or if it's just short term, or if even if it's a firm, a hedge fund. Everyone makes more money off of patience, right? And so patience can definitely be, I feel like something that a lot of people forget about, because even when you tell people be patient, they don't. It's not like you can tell someone just wait until this day, right? I can't tell you, like, if you tell me that you're swing trading, I can't tell you be patient until this day and time and then trade. It's a matter of still using what you know and just adding patience into it. So that's definitely something I feel like a lot of people forget about, and it's definitely something that a lot of the greats try and tell people, because additionally, it's also misconstrued. A lot of people will think, well, I didn't trade today or I didn't trade this week, so I've been plenty patient. Now I need to trade. And that's not what people mean by patience when at least the greats and what I'm trying to get across here are saying it. Patience is more just waiting for that right moment, right? You don't have to be trading every day or every week, right? And whether you're day trading or you're long-term investing, it's just waiting for the right moment to strike. And then when you know that moment is there, you have no anxiety, you aren't questioning whether or not I should do it. You're just going in and you're executing your plan without any hesitation. And when you have that level of patience, your gains will exponentially increase, right? It doesn't matter your trading style. Patience will always help everyone. So, let me see here. Can I view? Doesn't let me view the chat. Uh, I'll have to go on YouTube. On YouTube. Okay, so I got the chat here pulled up. If anyone, oh, here we go, pop out chat. All right, there we go. So, like I said, patience is definitely something you can use to really help you out, right? So if anyone wants to ask any questions or anything, feel free to put it in the chat. I'm more than happy to help out. With that being said, let's move on to the upcoming week. So, for the Buffett indicator, we're still, as you can see, we're still in that overvalued area. Um, the market's kind of just been tiptoeing and bouncing in between. Oh, excuse me. But anyways, just been bit bouncing in between the trend lines. So, oh, excuse me. Sorry. So, definitely something to keep an eye out for. Not like I said, none of what I show you, whether it's the Buffett indicator, the momentum indicator, the fear and greed index, any of that, none of it is vindictive of uh like just because the Buffett indicator says market's overvalued doesn't mean to sell all your investments. It's just trying to help you give you an idea of the overall market and where people may be looking, right? So, Buffett indicator right now still says the market is overvalued. It reached its little peak recently on November 30th, and since then it's just kind of been bouncing around. So, definitely something to keep in mind as far as the market being overvalued. And then we have the fear and greed index. So we didn't do a stock session last week, but last week and a few days in between, the greed index hit extreme greed, and it's currently kind of pulling back into the greed section. But if you've noticed, since it hit the extreme greed, the market's been kind of slowly declining, and I like to always keep this in mind. The Fear and Greed Index. By the way, you can always find this at CNN.com. They're who created it. As much as you may or may not agree with their politics and news and such, the Fear and Greed Index itself is pretty good. It definitely helps determine the market. So, anyways, back to what I was saying. Even though we hit extreme greed, we're still in the greed area. So definitely keep that in mind. It just means overall, most people are buying investments right now and putting their money into the market. So it also tries to determine momentum. I tend to myself personally, I tend to try. I, I believe the momentum isn't exactly accurate. I, I I trade opposite to the index, so when it's in fear is when I say, okay, it's time to buy and build up. And then when it's in the greed, I try and restrict more of my investments. I don't exactly don't buy, but I buy less, if that makes sense, because this is when everything should be going up. So, fear and greed index is in the greed. Everyone's buying right now. It's a good time to keep that in mind as well. And then the momentum index we have here has been uh, has been declining this last week. It's down 2 oh, hold on. There we go. Down 3.23%, which, I mean, probably doesn't surprise most of you. The market hasn't really had much momentum lately. Definitely been on the decline, been going down with dips since the year started. I mean, as you can see, there's literally an article here about uh, season pulling or earnings season pulling stocks out of the January dip. I'm not really too concerned about it. It's the start of a new year. There really isn't anything for the market to go off of. And so, I mean, of course, it's going to decline a bit. As we can see up here, the VIX has declined, the Russell has declined, but the Nasdaq, S&P, and Dow are all up at the end of last week. So I'm not really too worried about it. The market is going to fluctuate, and when there's nothing for the market to go off of, of course, it's going to go down. It's not really that surprising for me personally. I wouldn't be too worried about it for everyone else out there. Um, just keep an eye out, you know. This is a good time to be watching the market, learn its behaviors, keep an eye out on news, especially with this first earnings season coming up. It could definitely set a precedent for how people are going to be going into the year, right? I don't construe it with thinking that it will set a precedent for the market. It's what a lot of people are going to say, but if you actually watch, it usually doesn't. It sets a precedent for how people invest into the market, right? Two very different things. Two very, very different things. So, um, yeah, keep an eye out. For the upcoming week, we only have one market event, which is happening on the 9th. Well, one major market event, I should say. That's the balance of trade, measures the difference between imported and exported goods and services. Obviously, higher than expected is bullish, lower than expected is bearish. Um, the U.S. trade gap widened slightly to 64.3 billion in October of 2023, the highest it's been in 3 months compared to a downwardly revised 61.2 billion in September and forecasts of 64.2 billion. So, it beat the forecast, but it was only by a little bit, by that point one. Still good though. Still good. By no means does it demean uh, the growth, but it only beat that forecast by point one. So, um, this is, of course, there was a increase. Sorry, this is led, of course, by the increase in diamonds, pharmaceutical preparations, jewelry, passenger cars, other automotive areas like trucks, buses, special vehicles, and travel. There was also an increase. Sales rose from organic chemicals, gold, transport, and financial services. So definitely worth keeping an eye out for this upcoming balance of trade. Definitely will affect the market, right? I was just talking about how the market's been declining because it's not got nothing to go off of between earnings season and this market report, right? Definitely will give a lot for the market to go off of. And I don't know if you guys remember, but a while ago there was a whole the market went down overall, even though there were a bunch of companies like Nvidia who had positive earnings. And I just want people to keep in mind these market reports. A lot of people like just paying attention to earnings, but these market reports will affect the market more than earnings, right? Uh, Case in point, like I was just talking about, the entire market was having positive earnings, but there was a bad market report. So even though Nvidia crushed its revenue and earnings goals, it still went down because of the bad market report. And so the market wasn't looking too good. So definitely keep an eye out on market events. They're really important. If you ever are trading and all of a sudden the market is doing terrible and you thought it was going to go good, might be because you're not paying attention to market reports. Definitely worth keeping an eye out for. Um, Here we go. Mergers and acquisitions. So Lionsgate closed its 375 million acquisition of Studio Entertainment One. They bought it from Hasbro. That's definitely one to keep an eye out for. Very interesting investment on Lionsgate's part. Doesn't surprise me too much on Hasbro. They're not really an entertainment company, I would say, when it comes to media and such. They definitely have their own, like nugget in there, but most people don't think media in the sense of um, movies and TV and such when you think Hasbro. Um, you usually think more like board games, right? And things like that. So definitely something to keep an eye out for. I'm watching Lionsgate right now personally. Um, so definitely an interesting acquisition. We have Williams Co. purchased a portfolio of natural gas storage assets from Hartree Partners. Williams Co. is itself a natural gas management company, so definitely another one to keep an eye out for, especially with oil and natural gases going up during this time of the market. This is kind of their market cycle, so definitely interesting. Um, I'd keep an eye out for that one too. Could help you if you're investing in oil or anything like that. And then Badu has terminated its plan of 3.6 billion acquisition on Joy Incorporated. So I don't know if anyone saw this. They're kind of like you can think of them like a Chinese Google. They have lots of technology. Um, uh, they're big in the technology sector over in China. Their main service is their search engine that's used heavily over there. But yeah, they were planning to acquire Joy Incorporated, and they terminated the plan. So definitely interesting on their part. I couldn't find anything on why they terminated it, but I didn't really research it. I just kind of did a quick couple Google searches Definitely going to look into it more this coming week, but is worth keeping an eye out for because when a big company like that, especially one that is in the technology area, doesn't buy, it's not always the company itself, right? It could be Joy, but it also could just be the market right now, and it's a good thing to keep in mind when the big players don't perform as expected because it could mean they see something in the market that we don't, right? So, always worth keeping an eye out for. Earnings coming up. So on Monday, Commercial Metals is releasing their earnings. I thought this one was pretty interesting. They're set to unveil its quarter one earnings before the opening bell on Monday. Following a mixed quarter four, the company anticipates a strong performance by historical standards, but still expects a sequential decline. This is attributed to seasonally lower shipments, steel product margin compression in North America, and ongoing challenging market conditions in Europe. Seeking Alpha contributor Orin Growth Investment suggests that the Commercial Metal Company, or CMC, is undervalued, attributing it to the company's exposure to the projects that may be less impacted by changes in interest rates. With a low net leverage and a track record of surpassing revenue expectations, CMC is identified as a stock worth monitoring. However, Orin Growth Investment also advises caution, highlighting potential risks from failed acquisitions, environmental regulations, and competition forces that investors should consider. So, definitely worth one keeping an eye out for. Um, I personally haven't looked into the company enough to give my own determination on it being undervalued or not, but I definitely thought it was very interesting, and depending on their upcoming earnings, I'm definitely going to be looking into the company more myself. Consensus EPS estimate is 1.45. Revenue estimate is 1.93 billion. The company has exceeded revenue and EPS expectations in 7 of the past 8 quarters. So they're definitely rocking it on the revenue and EPS expectations. Tuesday we have Tilray, TLRY. They're set to release their quarter two earnings result after Tuesday's closing bell. The Canadian cannabis company shares have been good comeback lately, climbing by 40% in the last 6 months, but looking back over the previous year, it's dropped by 22%. Analysts hold a mixed views on Tilray. Seeking Alpha authors suggest an overall sell, while Wall Street analysts recommend a buy. Seeking Alpha's quant system also rates Tilray as a hold. Seeking Alpha author Blake Dower notes that Tilray Brands is trading slightly under their intrinsic value, which adds an additional perspective to the diverse opinions surrounding the company. So, this is definitely one of those companies that, in my opinion, has gotten too much social media attention, which has resulted in a lot of mixed signals about the company. So, not too long ago, they were used on forums like Wall Street Bets and things like that, and a lot of people were, doing the whole diamond hands, buying a lot into the stock, pumping it up, and then selling out. And I feel like over time, that's definitely when that's happened multiple times, it's really messed up the performance and the actual expectation of the company. In my opinion, it is a good company to invest in and maybe worth holding, but that's again my opinion. That does not mean you should go buy it, and um, I would suggest getting your own evaluation of the company first before you do anything. Consensus EPS estimates are negative 0.05. Revenue estimates are 195.07 million. They've exceeded revenue expectations in 3 of the past 8 quarters and EPS in 5 of the past 8 quarters. So, definitely one to watch. Will be interesting this season for earnings. Wednesday, we have KB Home or KBH. They're set to announce their quarter 4 results after Wednesday's closing bell. Analysts anticipate a year-over-year decline in both EPS and revenue for the home builder, which has seen growth in over 80 of the past 12 months, or over 80% in the past 12 months. So, definitely interesting company. It really shows that EPS and revenue estimates aren't the biggest thing in the company, considering they've grown over 80%. But yeah, definitely worth keeping a lookout, in my opinion. This stock has a cautious outlook from analysts, receiving a hold rating from both the sell side and Seeking Alpha's quant rating system. Seeking Alpha author GS Analytics highlights that KB Homes is grappling with high interest rates. However, signs of improving net orders and stabilizing backlog suggest potential sales improvements in the financial year of 24. While margins are expected to be better next year, the current valuation already reflects this outlook, GS Analytics stated, resulting in a neutral rating. So definitely something interesting to keep an eye out for. I think GS Analytics really kind of overall summarized what this company is going through right now with the real estate market and everything that's happening. Consensus EPS estimates are 1.68 and revenue estimates are 1.62 billion. They've exceeded EPS expectations in 6 of the past 8 quarters and exceeding revenue expectations in 50% of those reports or 4 of the past 8 quarters. So, definitely one to keep an eye out for, especially with the real estate market right now. Everyone's anticipating a crash, and while that may be negative, it could overall be positive for the company because then they're buying out a lot of property. So, definitely something to keep an eye out for. Thursday on the 11th, we have Infosystems or INFY. They'll release its quarter 3 earnings print before the opening bell on Thursday. Wall Street analysts rate the stock as buy, in contrast to hold by Seeking Alpha's quant rating system. The company's flagship generative AI offering, Topaz, has the potential to drive significant growth in value appreciation, says Seeking Alpha author Quinn Coughlin. So definitely something to keep an eye out for. The company's making a flagship generative AI offering, and depending on how that goes, it could definitely drive significant growth and value in the company, especially with the whole AI bubble that's going on right now, or AI trend, however you want to put it. The consensus EPS estimates are 0.18 and revenue estimates are 4.66 billion. Earnings Insight Infosystems has missed EPS expectations in 5 of the past 8 quarters and revenue in 2 of those reports. So, definitely one to keep an eye out for. Excuse me. Definitely one worth watching in my opinion. And then last but not least, Friday. I didn't really find a company that, in my opinion, is worth watching Friday. That doesn't mean that there's not one, just none of them really grabbed my attention. But it is expected to be a busy day in the financial sector. A lot of the major players are set to announce their quarterly reports, including Citigroup, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, JP Morgan, the Bank of New York Mellon Corporation, and the big one, BlackRock. So, in addition to the slew of bank reports, United Health Group and Delta Airlines are also update their investors on their quarterly results before the market opens on Friday. So Friday's definitely going to be a big one. Lots of ball players on that one. Like I said, just because I didn't put one here doesn't mean there's not one worth watching. Definitely a lot of big companies releasing their earnings and such. Um, Definitely overall, just watching the market on Friday and how it plays out will be a big one. That's also kind of why I didn't put one specific one here, was because there's just so much going on, right? I don't want to draw your attention to one specific ticker and then you ignore everything else. Friday will definitely be a day that you want to watch the overall market and see everything that's going on. Um, so with that out of the way, found an interesting article on upcoming events. Some of it we've already gone over, but definitely worth looking at on a deeper value. Recent momentum basically in the biotech sector, rising investments in weight loss drugs, right? There's been popularity of artificial intelligence have added is significant to this year's JP Morgan Health Conference and set to kick off Monday. So, um, yeah, overall, just lots of interesting stuff. Basically, there's a weight loss drug. What was it called? GLP-1. It's marketed by NVO, Novo Nordisk, and Eli Lilly. For people that don't know, Eli Lilly is kind of like another Johnson and Johnson. They're big in the pharmaceutical industry. They have lots of other areas where they kind of operate, but pharmaceuticals is a big one for them. They've been really taken over the pharmacy industry lately, and a lot of the big firms have been moving over to Eli Lilly from Johnson and Johnson. Um, so definitely something to keep an eye out for. Lots of weight loss drugs are coming out. I'm not sure the correlation, but there's you consider pharmaceutical drugs take anywhere from 5 to 10 years to get research, go through clinical trials, verify symptoms and such, and then finally come out to the public. It definitely seems like there's a lot of weight loss drugs coming out lately, which is definitely a good thing. Obesity is a huge thing, especially in the US. I'm not too sure about other countries, but the US definitely has an obesity problem. Really comes down to the quality of our food and yeah, at least in my opinion. I'm by no means a medical professional by any degree, but when we have all this processed and terrible foods, right, it's kind of hard, whether you're active or what your profession is or your hobbies. It's really hard to not become obese because it doesn't matter whether you eat all natural foods, whether you eat organic foods, whether you eat even like vegan foods or anything like that. It's all just processed and full of junk. So, not exactly the best, but companies are trying to um, combat it with a lot of these weight loss drugs to help people out. So, also, in December, this was an acquisition I forgot to go over. Pfizer closed its acquisition of ADC drug maker Seagen or SGen, and definitely something to keep an eye out for. Pfizer doesn't really buy that many companies, and so especially for $42 billion. So they definitely saw something there. They took it, and yeah. So overall, lots to keep an eye out for this coming week. Lots of biotech, the sector, pay attention to. Financial sector, definitely pay attention to. and overall just lots to pay attention to, you know. Um, so yeah, that was today's stock week. I hope you all enjoyed learning with me, and let's make that money. Hope to see you all next